Hey there, welcome to day 1273 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting and sharing my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business, over 47 years in business, over a quarter century in corporate America, working for some of the most amazing companies on the planet. And after my divorce, decided I wanted to do something totally different. Was old enough to not do anything, but I still had energy left, and I didn't want to just stop doing anything and like shrivel up and die in a corner. That would have looked like it was all due to my divorce, and it definitely wasn't. So I decided I didn't want to go back to the things I was doing with my ex-husband, but I wanted to do something different, something new, something totally different than I'd ever done before, and that involved doing things online, getting involved with the internet. I'd always been curious about it, but I'd never actually taken the leap of faith and jumped in. I didn't have the time and the energy or didn't know that it was important to dedicate the resources in the beginning of the internet to having an online presence, being involved in social media, things like that. But now history has shown us that they are indeed important things from a marketing standpoint, and to grow and to build and to supersize our businesses. So hopped on and like to share the good, the bad, the ugly, the things I've learned, the lessons I've learned, what's worked, what hasn't, and help alleviate the pain for other people getting involved in the online world or adding an online component to their business, so they don't have to learn everything the hard way. There's lots of people that will teach you how to do their thing online, but is it their thing the right thing for you? Is their thing the next thing that you need to learn how to do? So a couple of things that I do and have started to do and was coached and encouraged to do early on, and I didn't do it early on. I waited about a year, well over a year, but maybe even a year and a half before I got involved in publishing, creating content, sharing content, doing a podcast, doing a blog, things like that. I waited because of some of the reasons everybody else says. Oh, I don't think I know enough. I have to have everything ready up front. I thought that I had to know everything about a platform or about a modality or a media before I could get involved in it, which is totally ridiculous. Would never have done that in the offline world, and starting and creating and launching and leading businesses. Why on earth would I think that I had to do that in the online world? But whenever we go through a door and we face changes, or we're in a different industry, a different environment, a different situation, a different job, a different relationship, we almost revert back to the very beginning in some areas and aspects of ourselves and our personality, unless we remember to bring the lessons that we've learned from previous experiences into our current situation, into the present moment. And so that's what I like to remember to do. So a couple things I do every day is I share a couple pieces of content. Getting ready to do the 8th 30-plus day Get Up and Go challenge on August 1st through 31st. So that's starting in just a few days, a handful of days now, a handful plus. So I have been wasn't going to do it today because I didn't have coffee yet and I didn't feel like it, but I did it anyway. And instead of doing a long video, I just said, hey, the challenge is starting. What is your favorite way to get up and go? What do you like to do to get yourself moving? Because I realized coffee is my thing. I love to have a cup of coffee in the morning. And even though I gave it up for 5 years because I thought it was bad for me following a health challenge, it turns out it wasn't bad for me. And so, of course, I immediately started drinking coffee again. And I like to have my coffee in the morning to get me going and just to kind of help wake me up and get my gears going in my brain. So I want to know what's other people's favorite way to get up and get going. I have a lot of other strategies and ways that I get myself going, get out of bed, things that I do to help me wake up, but my favorite is my cup of coffee. So what's yours? That was a piece of content that I created today. Then every day I do an idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? How can you use it in your business and maybe even in your life? For my Supersize Your Business group of businesses that I coach and consult with, and business owners and business people and entrepreneurs, that I started doing it when I was getting ready to move. I was packing up my house as a result of my divorce, was moving and had to downsize, I didn't have to, but I chose to massively downsize and get rid of 90% of everything that I had that was material stuff, all the stuff in my life that was part of my past that I just didn't need to bring with me and I don't need anymore. And I needed a way to create a little piece of content every day for that group that was, kind of fun, kind of interesting, but also challenged me to stay on top of my game, to stay sharp, to stay looking for ways to tie things that don't necessarily seem like they're related to business into business. So I had found a book of my kids that's probably around me somewhere that was it had 600 plus idioms in it, different idioms. And my kids had never even cracked the book open. I'm sure I bought it for them in junior high as part of one of like the Scholastic book clubs. And they had never even looked at it because, you know, it was one of those things Mom got that she thought was a good idea, but they couldn't care less about. So I started just randomly picking an idiom out of there, and then I would share. I would look up the origin of it, where did it come from, why do people even say it, what does it mean, and then I would tie it to how could you use it in your business right now. And there's only a few, maybe a handful, that are so bizarre I had a really hard time tying them to business. But almost anything can be tied to our businesses and our life and lessons and things that we can learn, no matter how strange or how weird the meaning. For example, today's was to put someone on the spot. I'm doing a series of leadership ones in the month of July, from like I think the 8th to the end of the month. I decided I need a theme because it's easier to look up and come up with ideas and come up with idioms and make sure I don't repeat any of them. I think we've done 1,000 idioms for sure at this point. So it becomes easy to repeat them. Of course, there's 25,000 in the English language alone, so shouldn't have to ever repeat them, but just in case, I want to make sure. And there are a couple I've done repeated on purpose because I've been doing different themes, and they might be one of the most popular or the best idioms that represent that topic, that subject, that theme. So I'll do them again and I'll share them again. But I found every time I share them again, I find a whole different way to look at them and a different perspective and a different way to tie them to business, because I've done so many of them now since I did the last time that the information that I can present is different. Just like in the Get Up and Go Challenge, I've done it. This will be the 8th one. So the 8th one and the first one are totally different. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Anybody that wants to see the previous ones can join the Get Up and Go Challenge private group page. And in there, under the guides section, because they changed the units to guides name, there are all of the previous challenge videos and action items and some bonus materials and different units on things that we've done just to help us get through different challenging times and situations. 2020 for a lot of people in a lot of ways was a huge challenge and a huge time of change, and so I wanted to make sure I was doing something most every day from March, the end of March on. March we did a short challenge, but April we did the first 30 plus day challenge, and then again in June to July we did a 45 plus day one. August we did it, August, October, December, then this February and April we've done it, and then this will be August. And future of the Get Up and Go Challenge, I haven't decided yet. Not sure. Maybe we'll decide that together. But I like doing it. It's my way of giving back and sharing a lot of the tools and strategies and information that took me decades to learn and implement and practice with and fail at and try again until I actually figured out how to use them and how they work for me so that I could use them in my life. I want to make sure I'm sharing those things with people that they can really use. So do I really want to teach how to put somebody on the spot? No, that just happened to be our idiom for today, was put someone on the spot. And I actually get a kick out of it because it was pirates would send the ace of spades to people that they literally had marked for death. People that they were putting on notice that, hey, we're putting you on the spot. You will be dying soon. And so from that, it came to mean, a way to embarrass people or hold them. I see you can switch it to the positive by holding people accountable and responsible for the things that they say they'll do. That's a way of putting people on the spot, but in a positive way. But putting on the spot, this one idiom actually tends to mean, hey, you're going to be in trouble if I call you out on something, if I ask you an embarrassing question, if I set you up for an assignment that I'm pretty sure you're going to fail at. That's putting somebody on the spot. If you disrupt or disturb or try to embarrass somebody, that's putting them on the spot. If you are in a competitive situation and you put your competition on notice that you're out to destroy them, and a lot of companies do that. A lot of companies play the competitive game as they go from being less than number one to overtake number one. So it can be used in positive ways or negative ways. Our annual challenge this year is all about doing one thing every day that centers you and me, and it was about learning when we teach something. One of the best ways to reinforce something that we've learned is to teach it to someone else. I had a coach and mentor that taught me that a long time ago, and it's been reinforced by other mentors along the way since I joined the online world. If you want to really own a strategy, a topic, anything, one of the best ways to own it, really make it a part of your being, is to teach it to another group of people or to teach it to someone else. So I've done a lot of that in the online world. Since I'll learn something, I'll apply it, I'll get some lessons from it, then I'll also teach it, and then I'll get some more lessons and learn those and apply them, and then I'll teach it again. So great way to learn is by teaching other people something that you know, something that you've done, something that you're good at. So those are the things I'm working on. Notice that it's the same things I've been working on probably for the last year. When we find things that work, we want to pay attention to the things that are working, and we want to continue to do those things. And then as we discover and notice things that aren't working, we let those go and stop doing them. I still will admit that I do some things that might not be working in other people's definition of working, as far as getting the results they would expect or want, and so they would quit doing it. But I still do certain things because I know that I am building something bigger than, 1 billion followers or whatever it is that some people think that they want. We all need to decide what actions to take that move us in the direction that we want to go to create what it is we want to create in our life, not what anybody else wants to create in their life. And the biggest mistakes people make in life and online, it seems to be magnified because there's so much false information out there, is comparing themselves to others. I even found early on when I jumped online that I was comparing myself to others. And then I realized, oh my God, these are people that have been doing this business for 10, 20 years. The internet is, let's see, what are we in? It's been around, I believe, 20 years. It wasn't about 1991. I don't know, I'd have to look it up, but about 20 years. So some of the very first early adopters and grandpas, I'm the grandma of business, but some of the grandpas and other grand people of business or of the online world are, they've been doing the things that they do for 20 years. They've had 20 years to practice and perfect and decide and narrow in and focus on the things that they do and who they are online. Why would we ever compare ourselves to somebody with some other different experience than we have? Silly, yet it tends to be human nature. So that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm thinking on today. Getting ready, working on the next Get Up and Go challenge, outlining exactly what and how we want to do it, the order I want to do it in this time. Change them up every, over time, but I want to make sure that I am really sharing the best tools for each of the things that we're talking about. So when we talk about a strategy or a tool, that it's the best one for the application of what we're doing. And then I'll give an example of how I've applied it and how I do it and the results I've gotten, or how many times I had to try it before it actually worked for me, or how many times I had to tweak it before it worked for me. And then I'm going to share with you what's working best for me right now when I apply that tool. And then you're going to be asked every day to use that tool and apply it to something in your life that helps you to handle challenges and changes that we all experience all the time. All right, have an amazing day. If I can help you in your way, questions, you can direct message me if you're on Facebook. Otherwise, you can find me through other platforms. Just message me, ask your question. You might not know the answer, but I guarantee I can hook you up with somebody or something or some resource that will help you to continue moving, get moving, and take that next step that you need to take to create the life that it is that you want, because that's the most important thing in the whole wide world to you. All right, have an amazing day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.